Good morning. Thankful to see all of you out this morning. I hope that you had an opportunity to grab one of the bulletins. If you did not, I encourage you to grab it on the way out. You're going to need it. We have some information in the bulletin we're going to be going through this morning as a part of our lesson this morning. And there's a few lists that are in there that will be beneficial to you to know kind of where you fall on the list of the things we're going to be discussing. We had an evangelism seminar in February of 2020, and Brother Rob Whitaker came and held that seminar for us. As a part of that, he talked about bringers, teachers, and keepers. Now, I'm just curious, raise your hand if you attended that seminar. Okay, so we have a pretty good number that are here that attended. And if you did not attend, how many of you have watched the video online of the seminar? Okay, so for those that did not have an opportunity to attend, you can go online. You can watch the videos of that seminar. If you're unable to get online, you do not have internet, we have DVDs of the seminar. And you can see me, and I can give those to you so that you can watch those. We have 2 copies of the full seminar that Brother Rob Whitaker did here. And so I encourage you, if you have not done so, watch that either online or see me to get the DVD so that you can watch that. As a part of that seminar, he talked about 3 categories of kingdom workers. You have those that are bringers, you have those that are teachers, and those that are keepers. I know that's very simplified, but it really does a good job of summarizing, trying to bring the lost to Christ and to keep them faithful. Because ultimately we have people that can try to create contacts, and in order for us, those that are teachers, to be able to sit down and to study the Bible with those individuals. And then we have others that are able to come along and to keep. What happens frequently is that all 3 of those categories are placed solely maybe upon the localized evangelist. And it's very, very hard to be able to do all of those. One man is stretched too far to be able to do it all. And so if we all are able to plug ourselves in different areas, then a lot of work can be done and great things can happen. And so we need individuals that are able to make contacts with people and that are able to bring people. We need individuals that are competent and willing to be able to sit down and open up the Bible and study with other individuals. And then also we need those that are willing to already study with people that are already New Testament Christians, those that are new converts, and to be able to encourage, uplift, and provide further instruction for those that are new Christians. Those are the keepers. And so all of those categories are very significant and important. So if we were looking for Bible verses, let's start with the first category, and that is the bringers. Let's look in the Bible in John chapter 1. In John chapter 1, beginning in verse 40, one of the 2 who heard John speak, John the immerser, the forerunner of Jesus Christ, there were some that heard John speak and followed him. And one of those was Andrew, and that's Simon Peter's brother. And he first found his own brother Simon and said to him, "We have found the Messiah," which is translated the Christ. And he brought him to Jesus. So we have Andrew as a biblical example of someone that is going out and that has found out about the good news of Christ and is trying to bring individuals to come to Jesus Christ. And then we have here an example of Andrew. Not very far on down in the text, we have another example of this, and that's in John chapter 1, beginning in verse 43. The following day, Jesus wanted to go to Galilee, and he found Philip and said to him, "Follow me." Now Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said unto him, "We have found him, of whom Moses in the law and also in the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." And Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Philip said unto him, what? come and see. Now, I know that's just a simple concept, but it is the principle of a bringer. It's an individual who's trying to make contacts, or maybe reaches out to a neighbor or a friend or a relative or what, and is trying to develop interest and says, look, I have found something that's important. You need to know about it. Would you give opportunity, take time to find out about it? And then you have this individual, Phillips, that says, you need to come and hear about this. You need to come and see for yourself. And so here you have an example of bringers. Love that word Nathaniel there. That's my middle name. It's spelled just like it. It's not spelled like you spell Nathaniel with an I. It's spelled with an A. That's where I get my middle name. And that's where my dad gets his name. He just chopped off the rest of it and called himself Nat, from Nat King Cole. But he's Nathaniel, and then I'm Nathaniel. And so that's where I get my middle name. It's a biblical name. But that's just neither here nor there. That's just an extra 2 cents for you. I won't charge anything for that. So here in the text, you have examples of those individuals that are bringers. And so when we're talking about this, we have a biblical concept that outlines what we're talking about. We're trying to bring individuals to Jesus Christ. So as a part of that, now we're going to take time to talk about certain programs that we have here as a part of this congregation that we are trying to implement in order to bring people to Jesus Christ. One of those is called the Compassion Card Teams. You call it a lot of different things, work teams, but specifically these individuals are going to be working with the compassion cards. And so the elders here at Valdosta have divided our congregation up into 4 groups. And now I will say that we have the lists that are here. We have 4 different groups, and it's possible that we miss somebody. Sorry about that. Please mention that and bring that up to the elders, and we'll be able to fix that. But again, we're doing our best, and we may have made an error here or there. Somebody might be on there twice by accident, but we've tried our best to try to put those groups together. So the elders actually have divided up the congregation into 4 groups, and each group is called a team. And we have 4 teams, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And each team is going to meet once a month on whatever Sunday that their team falls upon. And so every New Testament Christian that's a part of this congregation has been assigned a team. And so they're going to be active in that. And so if you don't see your name on that list, it's possible that maybe you haven't placed membership with the congregation. So we'd encourage you to do that. Talk to the elders if you'd like to place membership with the congregation. And we can have you fill out a new members packet, provide information, and they'll be able to place you and associate you with one of those teams. Also, if your name is missing, let the elders know, and we'll do our best to make corrections. And so the big question is, when are these teams going to meet? If you're on Team 1, and so you can open up your bulletin if you're just curious where you fall. Team 1 is going to meet the first Sunday, Team 2, second Sunday, Team 3, third, and Team 4, fourth. If you have a conflict for whatever reason on one of those Sundays, it's a busy Sunday for you, and it would be inconvenient, and you need to switch, you need to switch for some reason, please let the elders know, and we'll try to switch you, and we may have to switch some folks around, but these are the lists that we're trying to put together. And so the team leaders are going to determine when those groups are going to meet. And we have team leaders and backup team leaders. Those team leaders are going to determine. The team leader may say, Team 1's going to meet Sunday night after service. And that's when you're going to meet. The team leader may say, we're going to come an hour early. Woo! That was hot. Didn't mean to do that. To watch that karate chop. All right. The team leader may say, you're going to meet an hour before service on Sunday night. And so the team leader is going to be responsible for doing that. They are going to put it on the clipboard in the back in advance so that we can make sure that we know when they're going to meet, and we'll do our best to put that in the bulletin as well, that we'll announce that and let everybody know when that meeting is going to be. And so the team leaders have that option of when they think is going to be best for that team. Also, and as mentioned here, generally the groups will meet after Sunday evening, but that's left up to the team leaders. And so they're going to do that. They're going to write that information down. If you have a conflict, then you can let the elders know, and they will reassign you. Fifth Sunday assignments, we don't have any. We have 4 teams, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the first, second, third, and fourth Sundays. We don't have anything right now for the fifth Sunday, and those only come a few times a year. And so, it may be that we don't have anything on the fifth Sunday, or if we have a contact, we may announce that and allow that to be on a voluntary basis. We'll just determine that as those fifth Sundays come. So where are the teams going to meet? I'll try to swing my arm around. Where are the teams going to meet? They're going to meet in the annex, and we met already with the team leaders and the backup team leaders over at the annex and explained everything. We've got some beautiful cabinets that have been built. Brother Jerry Owens and Les Wilson built us some beautiful cabinets over there, and we're using them. And so we've got our supplies already over there in those cabinets, and they're ready to go. And so the team leader is going to be responsible for making sure everything is organized and that is laid out for each one of them. And so each team has a leader and a backup leader, and the team leaders for the teams are listed, and hopefully it didn't switch around. I think this is still accurate according to what I have there. It is, good. So those are your team leaders, team 1, 2, 3, and 4, and backup team leaders are exactly what I have listed in the bulletin, so that's good. Because I didn't go back and change those slides since I've presented it last April of 2020. So those are accurate, and those are the individuals that are going to serve in that capacity. What is a compassion card? We're trying simply to reach out to people in our community. It can be used for various different reasons. There might be somebody that you know that lives in our county that maybe has lost a loved one, and they're grieving. We can send comforting cards to them telling them we're praying for them. It might be somebody that's in our community that is sick, or somebody that maybe has been in the hospital for some reason. Maybe they're struggling through an illness. Maybe there's some tragedy that they faced. We can send cards to them. And so it's your responsibility as a member of this congregation then to do your best to try to get that information, find out who those individuals are, and get their address so that we can then try to contact them and reach out to them and to try to open up doors to study the Bible with those individuals. Certainly, we want to pray for them. We actually want to be a praying congregation for people that are suffering in our community. And while we're praying for them and praying for whatever they're going through, we can also pray that there will be an opportunity to teach them the gospel in the process of this. And so we want to make sure that we get their information, and then we're going to try to start sending cards to them. Once we have their information, it's going to filter over to one of the teams, and they're going to start sending cards to that individual that we have a card for. And that'll happen for 4 weeks. They're going to get cards. In the process of that, we're going to have members here that are going to be a part of a follow-up team. If you're interested in going door to door to the people that we're sending cards to and just seeing if you can settle out a Bible study, see if you can develop enough interest and try to make an appointment to set up a Bible study or even have one then please let me know, and we'll try to create a team that can go door to door and follow up with the people that we're sending cards with. And so that's what we're trying to do. In order to have Bible studies, we've got to have contacts with individuals. We've got to reach out to them. We show them the love of Christ, and Lord willing, we will open the door to show them what the Bible teaches so that they might have faith, that they might obey the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And so we're using this program to create those contacts so that we can do so. Now, in the foyer is the contacts. They're in the back, and you can see the picture that I have here. They're back there on that little table that we have in the foyer. And so there is a compassion card, contact card. That's a lot of compassion card, contact card. That's a lot of words thrown together. But anyway, there's the card. It's in the back, and here it is. We just need the contact's name. How do you know this person? I mean, it might be one of your relatives that lives in the county. It might be somebody that's a coworker. How do you know them? It's your next door neighbor. Write down how you know them, and then write down what's going on with that person. They've got cancer. They've been in the hospital. They broke a hip. Something happened. Write down whatever it is, and then write down their address so that then we can try to follow up. And then write down your name. So if you filled out that card, write down your name. And please print so we can read it.
Unfortunately, we have some people that fill out our blessing box prayer request cards, and often we cannot read them. And so we struggle to try to pray for them appropriately because we can't read their names. So as you fill these out, please, to the best of your ability, write very neatly so that we can do so. And the reason you write your name at the bottom is so if we can't read your writing, we can come to you and we can get it in person to try to make sure that we get the information correctly. We don't want to misspell somebody's name on 120 cards that go out to them. We want to try to get it right if we can. And so please make sure that you fill that out appropriately. And so those completed cards are going to go in a box that we've got labeled in the back that says blessed. Now we've got it hung right above there, and you can put those cards there. And that's where you're going to fill them out. You're going to stick that card in that little box, and our team leaders are going to check that box. Team leaders are going to get that out of there, and they're going to make sure that we send those contacts. And so that's what that box is there for. And then those team leaders are going to file the cards in a binder, and we had a meeting with them, and I've already explained all of that to them. So how is this any different than what we normally do? Might be a question that you have. It's different because what this is this is a concentrated effort for somebody that is not a member of the church. This is somebody that's not a Christian. And so this is a very concentrated effort. It might be the case that you have a contact for somebody that lives outside of our county. We can still send one card, and everybody in the congregation can sign that one card, and we can pray for that individual. But this is a concentrated effort. It might be that you know somebody that's a member of the church that even lives in our community. We'll do one card back there, and everybody can sign their name, and we'll pray for them. We'll add them to the prayer list. But this particular effort is designed to try to reach out to people that are not yet New Testament Christians who live in our county. And so that's what makes it different. And we're going to send, let's say, 10 to 30 cards for 4 weeks in a row to those individuals to try to encourage them and open up a door to try to teach them the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so we're talking about our county, and those are individuals we're trying to reach in this effort. And so the elders are providing stamps. You're not going to have to provide any postage on this. They provided envelopes, pens, cards. All you have to do as a part of this team, as you're a part of this group, is whenever your team leader says you're going to meet, you show up over there in the annex. The team leader will explain everything to you, and then you write a message. So this is John Brown. John Brown was in a wreck, is in the hospital. So you write a card to John Brown saying, I'm really sorry this has happened to you. We're praying for you. We hope you get well. If there's anything we can do for you, just let us know, something like that. And then you write your name on there with the Valdosta Church of Christ. And then you can just send that out. It's personalized from you. And that can open a door to reach out to them. And of course, you're going to pray for them. So while you're over there, you've written your message, close your card and bow your head and say a prayer for that individual right then. Don't wait. And then you can, when you write that saying you're praying for them, you have prayed for them. You've brought their name before the throne of God so that God can hear that and can help them. And that is our opportunity to provide intercessory prayer on their behalf. And so our congregation is going to still send out cards, as we've already mentioned. I'm going to skip over that because I've already mentioned that. So what are the team leaders going to be doing? Here's a bunch of information for those team leaders. They're gathering the card. They're going to write the contact's name on the dry erase board that we've got over there. I've already mentioned this to the team leaders as well, but again, I'll just mention it again. They're going to file that contact over there, and they're going to make sure that the people that come in get a different card and that it's appropriate. We need to read the message on the card. If the person hasn't lost a loved one, but we're sending them a card about grieving the loss of a loved one, we don't want to do that. We want to make sure if they're just sick in the hospital, we don't send them a card about sympathy of losing somebody. We just need to make sure that appropriate cards get placed out and sent to the appropriate individual and that the appropriate messages get placed inside. And the team leaders are going to make sure that those cards are placed in the mailbox that they're mailed. And so every member of the congregation is going to sit down, they're going to write it, they're going to stick it in there, they're going to address the envelope, and then you're going to put a stamp on it, and it's going to be ready to be sent out by the team leader. And so that's part of this particular program. And there's some details for the team leaders as well. They're going to be there, and they're going to make sure that they understand why we're sending a card to that individual. The team leader, if they need more information, needs to go to whoever wrote it, because their name is at the bottom of it. So whoever wrote that card and has the information, team leader needs to go talk to them before they go over there and meet with everybody, and get as much information as you can, find out about the situation, so that they're equipped and prepared for those individuals, so that they have the information that they need. And so it is the elders' wish that every member of our congregation be an active and willing participant in their teams. And so that's what we are going to do as we begin this process. And so 3 categories that we've mentioned, this is the bringer category. And so you may be asking, which team am I in? Well, I've got it on the screen, and those at home can see it, so it's on the screen. But you in the pew, pick up your bulletin. That way you can see it as well, maybe a little bit easier to read, and you can figure out what team you're in. So there you go. That's Team 1. I'll leave it up there for a second for those that are watching at home. Team 2, you can scan that. Those at home can read that to see if they can find their name on that list. And while they're looking at that at home, what we have been doing is we've been putting the cards back here in the foyer on a table, and that was just a hybrid form while we were during COVID, what we were doing during COVID. But we're going to stop that. Those cards are not going to be out there in the foyer, and we're going to have teams that are going to work on this, and we're going to change the way that we've been doing this, and so that we can try to really inundate the mailbox of somebody that's going through a hard time. And we've already been able to do so, and there have been many that have been very grateful. They've posted publicly, maybe on Facebook or social media, or sent a card, and they've been very grateful for the cards and to realize that there's so many people that know about their situation, that are praying for them. It really makes a big difference. And so that's what we're trying to do, is to try to let people know in our community we care. We are personally praying for them so that we can then open a door. Now, that's not the end. There's more. So, that's a compassion card program. We have several outreaches. We're talking about bringers. Okay, the next one, there's a reach program. You were wondering, how can I get plugged in? Because that was our sermon last Sunday. This is a sermon telling you how you can get plugged in, how you can be involved, what you can do. And so here is another way. We have new movers baskets. It's all part of the bringing program. We get a list of people that move into our community, and we are going to try to take those individuals and go to deliver them a basket. Now, it's possible that you see one of your neighbors that just moved in, or you see somebody around here that has a U-Haul. Well, you can write down their address and then fill out one of these cards. We may not have their name, and maybe all we have is an address, and we know U-Haul pulled in over there. Then we can do our best to try to go and deliver a basket to them, welcoming them to the community. And so when you go, even though we don't have their name, try to get it so that we can compare it to the list that we're getting, so that we can kind of try to reconcile, so that 2 people don't show up at the same house a month later saying, hey, we got your name on a list, and we've already delivered a basket to them. But again, we have that new movers contact. Here's the card. It's in the foyer. We put their name, address, if we have their name. When did they move in? If we have any idea, approximately, how far do you live from them? And then are you willing to deliver that basket and then put your name? And then we can try to do that. And so, again, we have a list, and some of this information is new. The elders met about this February and March. Back in 2020, talking about all of this, but a lot of the information maybe hasn't made it this far because we haven't put these things in place. But these individuals were identified by the elders, and if you see your name up there and you didn't know it was part of that group, then this is individuals that have been identified by the elders, and they are going to purchase, collect, and assemble the baskets. And a lot of the ladies actually had those items listed in the bulletin so individuals could buy it, and we were putting it in the foyer during COVID. And so we have a pretty good stocked room back in the back here. If you go up the stairs and turn left, and then turn left again, back here behind this nursery area, we have a stocked area back there with items. And we will continue to do so, but we have individuals that are kind of heading that up. And so what we need is we need members that are willing to go and deliver the baskets, that are willing to take a name out of a card box that we've got that back there that says to be delivered. They can open the box and it has an address and a name. You can take that card, go deliver the basket. When you've done so, you can write any information that you gather during your conversation with that person, and then you can write the date and it's been delivered, and then you put that card in the delivered box. There's 2 little containers back there on the table. And so that way we can keep it organized and make sure that we've kept up with who we have delivered to. Here's the basket we've got set back there, and then you can go and deliver that to those individuals that are in this area. Now let me say this, if you filled out one of those cards, the New Movers contact card, stick it in the blessed box back there as well. So if you fill that out, you see one of your neighbors moved in, write that information down, stick it in the blessed box, and we'll make sure that we keep up with that. And that'll help us to know when there is contacts, and there are contacts that are coming in from individuals. So we get a list. Congregation here is paying for that. Every month, we get a list of people that have moved into our area. Some months it's more than others. Some months we may get 10 names. Some months we may get 3. But we do get a list. And so if you're willing to do that, then please, all you got to do is knock on the door, say, hey, we're with the Valdosta Church of Christ, and we received some information that told us that you had just moved into the area to this house. Is that true? And they may say, no. We just signed up for a mailing list on Amazon, and they sold our information or something, And no, they haven't moved. They've been living there for 10 years. Well, it's nice to meet you, and, we invite them to worship. However, it might be that they just moved to that house. And you can say, welcome to the community. Here's a welcome basket from the Valdosta Church of Christ. There's information in the basket from the congregation. There's a welcome card with signatures on it, and there's tracts in there. So you're providing them information. Invite them to come and worship with us. Again, that opens up doors. So what happens when we've done that? What happens when we've been successful and we've delivered a basket, we've invited somebody to come to worship, they're in our pew now. And they've come to visit us. Now we have visitor bags. And that's another work that's a part of this to make sure that we follow through, because all of this is a process. We want to have people to come and to be here. We want to make contact with them. We want to greet them. We want to welcome them to the congregation, and we have these visitor bags, these things right here. And so the individuals may not know it, but the elders decided, and these are the individuals that are listed up here that the elders have designated. And this may mean new information to you, if you see your name up there. And so what I mean by that is, if you see left, it means if you're standing in the back of the congregation, this is the left side, this is middle, this is right. So there's 3 sections in our congregation here, and those individuals have been designated. If they see somebody sitting in their section and they're supposed to be watching, then they need to make sure that this thing gets to them. It's possible that somebody might beat them to it, but that's their responsibility to watch and to see and to go get one of these bags. This bag is also back there in that back room, and it's full of goodies for individuals that are here. It's got a new Bible. It's got a visitor package. We have visitor packets here. It's got a letter from the elders. It's got CDs in it. Why are there so many churches? Searching for Truth DVD. We've also got little notepads so they can take notes. It's got a pen. It's got a highlighter in there. Just some things in there that have been set aside so that we can give it to them. They can walk out greeting them. But one of the most important things as you do this is that you ask them to fill out an attendance card. Because if we get that and we don't have any information on them, and they visited with us, then we can't follow up with that. And so they walk out with that, and we might not ever see them again, and we have no way to contact them again. So as you're doing that, we need you, as you give that bag, to also give them a card and welcome them first, but then ask them if they would be willing to fill out a visitor's card and stand there until they filled it out. Get a clipboard, stand there until they fill it out, and then take it back from them once it's filled out. That way we have it. It's not wandering around in the pews or who knows where it might be. We have it because you gave it to them. You stood there until they fill it out, and you get it back from them. This is a practice that's used by many congregations. I've visited in the past in different congregations, and that's another practice that they have. They have a little bitty clipboard. They stand there, ask you to fill it out. They don't move. you're filling it out and they're standing there, and then they take it back from you. And so that's something that we want to do as a part of this process. And so these little pages right here, there were clipped on the bulletin board in that back room back there that give a little bit more tips for evangelism on visitor bags. So if you're a part of that process, then you can pick that up, go back there and read that information. And then also there was a list back there for the new movers and possible items that we can put into that. So we have teachers. We've dealt with bringers. That's a big part of it. We're not going to get to the teaching part unless we make contacts and have bringers. So we need everybody involved and engaged in that, and that's why we have those teams, those work teams. But we also need teachers. And a part of that program that we went through the 3-study approach. And this particular program taught us how to sit down and study the Bible with someone. We have an abundance of materials. The elders here have purchased those materials, have provided those materials. We have the overflow of abundance of materials back here in that back room, which is a resource room. But we have them out front back here in this foyer table so that you can get a hold of them if you need them, so that you can study with individuals. And the Bible teaches us that we are to proclaim the gospel, to make known the gospel. In 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 2, he says, "And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou unto faithful men," that is, unto faithful individuals, "who shall be able to teach others also." So we're trying to bring individuals to Christ so that they know how to obey the gospel and serve Christ, to have their sins forgiven, and then also so that they might be able to relay that information to others that they know, and so that they might be equipped. So we need teachers as well. If you're willing to sit down and to do a Bible study with someone, let me know. We'll start creating these lists so that we can kind of have an idea who's willing to be involved and engaged in studying with a person that's not a Christian and to bring them to Christ. Then we have keepers. Keepers. Matthew 28, 19 through 20. Biblical principle. Every single thing that we talked about. You have bringers, biblical principle. Teachers, biblical principle. Keepers, biblical principle. Bible verse to go with each one of those 3 points that we have for our lesson this morning. But this is a very practical lesson, very different than what you've ever heard me present, because I'm giving you practical ways that you can apply each one of the verses for each one of the points that we are describing. So then there are keepers. And, of course, in Matthew chapter 28, he said, "Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit," or the Holy Ghost, "teaching them to observe all things, whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I'm with you always, even to the end of the world." And so here we are taught, not only do we go and teach, we baptize, but then we have to continue to teach them to observe all things that had been commanded by Jesus. So there is a growth process whereby we have somebody that's a baby that needs to grow, and so we have to come along. And so once somebody's obeyed the gospel, we are also responsible then to make sure that they continue to be fed what it is that they need to know. Sometimes we fail in that regard. We get people to the waters of baptism and they're baptized, but then there is no longer continued education. There's no new convert class. There's no continued instruction. We have to make sure that we also have keepers that are able to plug in, that are able to continue to teach and to help new Christians to grow. And so what we have here at this congregation is called a new convert or new member merry-go-round. Now, I don't have this information in print, so if you see the information here, you might want to write it down, and then I'll try to put it in print as well, because you may see your name up there. There are a list here discussing this rotation. Here it is. I hope it's big enough to read. It's quite small. Apologize for that, but this is it. Now, I have a couple of lines that are up here, and they're assistants. Assistants. Those individuals that are willing to go to somebody's house and just be there and encourage and do whatever needs to be done, but they're not really teaching. They're just attending as an encourager, and they're there to help to get to know. So we have the individuals that are at the top of the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a DVD provided by World Video Bible School, and each one of those groups is going to show a lesson. So look at the bottom of number 1, and you see worship. That's the DVD, and it's showing lesson number 1, staying saved. Then group number two, they're going to watch lesson number 2, Bible study. Group number 3, they're going to watch lesson number 3 on attendance. Number 4, and so each one that is in bold, they're the ones that host the lesson at their house. They prepare a meal, and they have everybody over. So for number 1, you got Mike and Diane Longcrier. They're the host. And they're going to try to contact the new convert, and they're going to contact the assistant who's going to come, and they're going to be a part of that, and they're going to watch that DVD together and open up their Bibles and try to answer any questions and go through that and study it, and they're going to eat a meal together. And so what this this process got stopped by COVID. Let me just put it that way. The brakes went on because of COVID and everything, but we're starting back again. And so we have had new converts that haven't had the opportunity to go through this. And you're wondering, I was a new convert and I didn't go through this. It's true. And we might be able to bring you back through it. But if you are a new person that is relatively new, you're about to go through this. And so what we're going to ask is the leader number 1, Brother Longcrier, they're going to contact new convert. They're going to set a date. They're going to have that person in their home. They're going to have a meal. They're going to have the assistants over. They're going to play video number 1. They're going to study it together, try to answer any questions that are possible. And then once that's done, leader number 1 is going to contact leader number 2. So basically, Mike Longcrier or Diane's going to contact Wallace and Brenda Hanley and say, hey, we have finished our study with this new convert. Here's their phone number. You can try to contact them and schedule the next one. And, they can schedule it in the next couple of weeks, whatever's convenient for the new convert and those that are trying to do it. And they'll schedule it. And then what that does is that brings now new convert into home number 2, the Hanley home. And then everybody's going to get together. They're going to have a meal. They're going to go through that one lesson and study it. Then leader number 2 is going to contact leader number 3 and say, we've just finished our study. Here's the new convert's name and number. Can you contact them? They're ready for your study. And it's just going to keep passing down. Leaders are responsible for contacting the next one once they've accomplished their task until it goes all the way down to number 8 and it's finished. Once number 8 is done, and they can contact me and let me know that they finished the process. And so what we've done is we've switched this around a little bit. Before, we were showing the Searching for Truth DVD, but really this one is supposed to be for new converts. And this particular DVD series is perfect for that because it goes back through and deals with some of those areas that would be very beneficial. It deals with the acts of worship and Bible study and faithfulness. And so that DVD is going to be really good. And so that's what's going to be a part of this process. And so if you see your name up there, those are the teams. There are 2 lines under number 4, number 5 for assistance, which means if you're willing to travel over to somebody's house and be a part of that, let me know. We will put your name and plug you in there, and we'll try to use somebody that's not already on that list if you're willing to do that. And so please let us know, and we will try to plug you in. So we've talked about a lot, haven't we? Because that's what we're trying to do. It seems like a lot, but once stuff starts churning along, it won't be a lot. It's just a lot to take in one time. But we've got new baskets are going out to new movers, people moving into our area all the time. We're just contacting them, inviting them to worship. Some may come. We got people ready to give them a visitor basket and to get their information. And then we got a follow-up team that's going to try to hit up on new movers. We got a follow-up team that's going to try to hit up on those that have visited our congregation. These are ways to make contacts. We're going to send out compassion cards. We're going to have follow-up teams to try to hit up the compassion card contacts. And quite possibly they will show up in worship. They get a new mover's basket. Not a mover's, they get a visitor's bag, and so all of this is connected. Everything is moving ultimately to the direction to sit down, open up the Bible, study with them the gospel so that they can know the truth, so that they can serve God, so that they can be saved, and that's ultimately the purpose. So we have bringers, we have teachers, and we have keepers. So the question is this: what area are you going to serve in? It might be that you serve in one. It might be you serve in several. But we know that the elders specifically have asked that all of our members are serving as bringers. All of our members serve as part of the compassion card process. Why? Because we want to get a lot of cards that are sent to these individuals. We want them to go to the mailbox and open it up, and there's a bunch of cards there from Valdosta. We want them to go the next week and open up their mailbox. There's a bunch of cards saying, we're praying for you. And so that's what we want to make sure that we do. And so we need everybody to plug in, to engage, and to be a part of that. When is the first meeting? I don't know. The next team leader will decide that. So again, this goes to the team leaders, and that's part of it. We've presented the information. Teams have been identified. Members know what team they're on. The next one that's coming, team leader will write out there when the meeting's going to be, and then everybody just start plugging in, and we'll start churning through this process. And Lord willing, God will be glorified, and souls will be saved by the work that we are endeavoring to work into. Today, if you're not a Christian, you can obey the gospel. You can give your life to Christ today if you have not obeyed the gospel. Will you not believe that Jesus is the Savior? Will you turn your life to the Son of God, turn away from your past in repentance unto Him? Will you confess before this audience that He is the Son of God? Will you submit to His command to be baptized so that your sins can be washed away? Acts 22 and verse 16. If you've not done that, you can obey the gospel today, and the Lord will save you. He will forgive you of your sins, and He will add you to His church, to His kingdom. You can do that today. Maybe it's the case that you've not been faithful, or maybe you just need the prayers of the church. We have an invitation song that has been prepared. Won't you come? As together we stand and as we sing.